When you feel like you cannot go any further, that is often the exact moment when you are closer to a breakthrough than you realize. Life has a way of testing us at the edge of our limits. It is in those moments of exhaustion, self-doubt, and uncertainty that the voice inside your head begins to whisper, and maybe this is enough. Maybe you should stop. But if you stop there, you will never know how close you were to changing your life. That is why you must keep pushing. The truth is, every meaningful goal comes with resistance. That resistance is not a sign that you are failing, it is a sign that you are growing. Just as muscles grow by resisting weight, your spirit grows by resisting challenges. When things feel heavy, it does not mean you are weak. It means you are building strength that cannot be seen yet. Keep pushing because every step forward is training you for the bigger victories that are waiting ahead. I know there are days when pushing feels impossible, days when your effort seems invisible to the world, days when you question whether anyone sees how hard you are working. But the reward for persistence does not come instantly. The universe waits to see who is willing to endure the long road, who is willing to push when the excitement is gone and all that is left is grit. Be that person. Because if you are, you will separate yourself from everyone who gave up too soon. Think of all the times in your life when you once thought you could not make it, and yet here you are. You survived those moments. You carried yourself through storms you thought would break you. What makes you think this time is any different? The same resilience you had then is still inside you now. The strength that got you through your darkest days is the same strength that will carry you through today. All it asks of you is to keep pushing. And here is something powerful to remember. Momentum is built in the smallest pushes. You do not have to move mountains in one day. You just have to move one stone, then another, then another, then another. Progress rarely looks dramatic in the moment, but consistency turns those small pushes into unstoppable force. Over time, the person who simply refuses to stop pushing will always outrun the person who relies only on bursts of motivation. So when the doubts creep in, when you feel like you are at your limit, remind yourself, this is exactly what growth feels like. It is uncomfortable, it is demanding, it is relentless. But so are you. You were not made to stop halfway. You were made to discover just how much you are capable of when you push past what you thought was your breaking point. Keep pushing, not because it is easy, but because your future deserves it. Keep pushing, not because success is guaranteed, but because you will never forgive yourself for not finding out how far you could have gone. And keep pushing because one day you will look back and realize that every struggle, every late night, every setback was preparing you for the moment when quitting was not an option, but winning became inevitable. Every meaningful goal meets resistance, and that resistance is proof you are growing. At first, that idea can feel discouraging because most of us are taught to think that if something is right for us, it should come easily. We imagine that passion alone should carry us through. But the truth is, the bigger the dream, the heavier the resistance that comes with it. If your vision is large enough to change your life, it will demand parts of you that you have never had to use before. It will stretch your patience, your endurance, and your faith. That is not a punishment, it is preparation. Think about the times in your life when you faced no resistance at all. Those are the seasons of comfort. Things ran smoothly. Nothing was truly demanded of you, and yet nothing really changed. Comfort never tested you, and so it never gave you growth. Resistance, on the other hand, acts like a mirror. It shows you where you are weak, where you hesitate, where your fears still live. It shines a spotlight on the exact areas you need to strengthen in order to move forward. The mistake so many people make is that they interpret resistance as a stop sign. They believe that if it feels difficult, it must mean it is not meant to be. But that is the exact opposite of the truth. Difficulty is the sign that you are stepping into territory you have never walked before. That is where the treasure is. Resistance is not the enemy. It is the signal that you are on the right path. Imagine an athlete training with weights. The resistance is what tears down the muscle so it can rebuild stronger. Without that weight, there is no growth. In life, your goals are the gym and your obstacles are the weights. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to increase your capacity. The heavier it feels, the stronger you will become if you keep lifting. And just like in training, at first it hurts. It feels unnatural. It makes you question why you ever began. But over time, the very thing that once made you weak becomes the foundation of your strength. Resistance also builds character in a way that ease never can. When you are forced to keep pushing despite setbacks, you cultivate discipline. When you are required to solve problems under pressure, you develop creativity. When you endure rejection and still rise again, you build resilience. These qualities are not born in comfort. They are born in resistance. And the people who succeed in extraordinary ways are not those who avoided resistance, but those who embraced it and learned from it. There is also a psychological shift that happens when you begin to reframe resistance. Instead of fearing it or resenting it, you start to welcome it as part of the process. Every obstacle becomes a marker that you are moving forward. Every setback becomes evidence that you are stretching into something bigger than your current capacity. When you adopt this mindset, resistance stops being a wall and becomes a stepping stone. Remember too, that resistance is often loudest when you are closest to a breakthrough. The moment before a new chapter is written often feels like chaos, as if everything is pushing back against you at once. But this is the universe testing your commitment. Do you really want this dream? Are you willing to keep going when the excitement fades? Will you push through when no one is watching, when no one is cheering? Because if you will, then you have earned the right to the success that lies on the other side. So the next time you feel that resistance, whether it comes in the form of rejection, failure, self-doubt, or exhaustion, remember that it is not a sign to stop. It is proof that you are growing. It is proof that you are in motion. It is proof that you are alive, chasing something bigger than yourself. Embrace it, because resistance is not here to break you. It is here to build you into the person capable of carrying the life you are dreaming of. The moment you feel like giving up is often the moment just before your breakthrough. It sounds almost cliche, but if you reflect on your own life, you will see that this truth has played out more times than you realize. Think about the projects, relationships, or personal goals you abandoned in the past. How many of those times did you stop not because you truly could not go on, but because the frustration and exhaustion became louder than your belief? What if you were only one more push away from the door unlocking? What if you were standing inches from the finish line and never knew it because you quit too soon? That is the tragedy of giving up. We rarely know how close we were. Growth and success are not linear. They are layered. For weeks, months, or even years, it can feel like nothing is happening. You put in effort, you invest your energy, and the outside world does not seem to change. But beneath the surface, something is being built. Just like seeds planted in the soil, the growth is invisible until the moment it breaks through. When you are ready to give up, it is usually because the pressure of waiting has convinced you that nothing is working. Yet in reality, that is often the exact stage when something is finally about to emerge. There is a concept called the tipping point. Imagine adding drop after drop of water into a cup. At first, nothing happens. The cup looks the same, no matter how many drops you add. But then one day, a single drop makes the water spill over the edge. Was it that one drop that caused the breakthrough? No, it was the accumulation of all the drops before it. Every effort counted, even if you could not see the progress until the very end. Life works the same way. So, every action you take, every late night, every risk, every sacrifice is another drop. The tipping point comes not when you decide to quit, but when you decide to keep going just one more time. The danger is that our emotions try to trick us. Fatigue whispers, this is pointless. Doubt insists, you are not good enough. Fear warns, what if you fail? These voices become loudest when you are closest to the breakthrough, because that is when the stakes are highest. If you quit then, all the effort that came before goes to waste. But if you push through that storm of doubt, you discover that your breakthrough was not far away at all. It was waiting just on the other side of your perseverance. History is full of examples. Thomas Edison tried thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. Imagine if he had given up at the 999th attempt. Authors like J.K. Rowling were rejected over and over before someone finally said yes. Imagine if she had stopped submitting her manuscript just one publisher too soon. These stories are reminders that the greatest successes often came just after the point where giving up seemed easiest. But breakthroughs are not always massive or world-changing. Sometimes they are deeply personal. A breakthrough can be a moment of clarity after years of confusion. It can be the shift in your mindset that changes the way you see your challenges. It can be the opportunity that finally appears after you have been applying for jobs endlessly. Breakthroughs do not always arrive in dramatic ways. Well, often they slip quietly into your life the moment you decide not to stop. That is why discipline matters more than motivation. Motivation is fragile. It disappears when you are tired, when you are discouraged, when results are delayed. Discipline is what carries you in those moments. Discipline is the voice that says, do it anyway. It is the decision to show up even when every part of you wants to walk away. And that choice, to keep moving forward in the face of discomfort, is the very choice that creates breakthroughs. So when you feel the weight of exhaustion pressing down when you are tempted to walk away, remember this. The pain you feel is temporary, but the regret of quitting will stay with you. The discomfort of continuing lasts for a season, but the reward of your breakthrough will last a lifetime. You do not want to look back years from now and wonder, what if I had just held on a little longer? The moment you feel like giving up is not a signal that you should stop. It is a test. It is a test. It is life asking you, how much do you want this? Will you fight for it, even now? Your answer in that moment will decide whether you step into your breakthrough or whether you leave it behind, never knowing how close you truly were. Strength is built not in comfort, but in the weight of struggle you refuse to put down. It is easy to admire strength in others, the athlete who never seems to tire, the entrepreneur who rises after failure, the person who smiles even when life tests them. What we often forget is that none of them became strong in the absence of hardship. They became strong precisely because they endured hardship. Comfort never demanded more of them. Struggle did. Think of your own body for a moment. If you want to grow physically stronger, you do not sit on the couch and relax. You put weight on your back. You push against resistance. You lift something that challenges your muscles. At first, it feels painful. Your muscles ache, your body shakes, and you question if you can do it. But by returning to that weight day after day, something changes. The very resistance that once threatened to break you becomes the reason you grow stronger. Life follows the same principle, often. When life is comfortable, you are not forced to adapt. You stay the same, and while comfort feels good in the moment, it steals growth. But the struggles you carry, the responsibilities, the setbacks, the failures, the heartbreaks, those are the weights that shape you. Each time you decide not to drop that weight, you become stronger in ways you cannot yet see. The strength is not just in the accomplishment, it is in the refusal to give up. Think about the qualities you most admire in people: resilience, determination, patience, wisdom. Do you know how those qualities were forged? Not in comfort. They were built through long nights of trying again after disappointment, through painful lessons learned from mistakes, through waiting when everything inside screamed for speed. Struggle demands these qualities, and in meeting that demand, you discover a version of yourself you did not know existed. Here is the paradox. Most people chase comfort, yet they admire strength. They want the prize without the process. They want to be resilient without facing adversity, disciplined without enduring routine, courageous without confronting fear. But it does not work that way. Strength cannot be borrowed. It cannot be gifted. It is earned in the trenches of struggle. The weight you carry today, the one that feels unfair, exhausting, or overwhelming, is the very training ground for the strength you admire in others. Of course, struggle is not glamorous when you're in it. It feels messy, chaotic, and draining. There are days when you want to lay the weight down and walk away. But this is where character is revealed. Anyone can carry a burden for a day. Strength is built when you carry it day after day, refusing to surrender. That persistence is what forges something inside you that cannot be taken away. Taken away. Even the smallest struggles count. Perhaps it is waking up early when you want to sleep. Perhaps it is choosing discipline over distraction. Perhaps it is staying kind when bitterness feels easier. Every small struggle you overcome adds another layer of strength. Over time, these layers stack into resilience so powerful that even life's biggest storms cannot topple you. And here is the gift of struggle. Once you become stronger, life's challenges do not necessarily get easier, but your capacity to handle them expands. The weight does not always change, but you do. What once felt unbearable becomes manageable. What once broke you now builds you. And eventually, you look back and realize that the struggle you hated was the very thing that prepared you for the life you now live. So when you feel burdened, when life feels heavy, do not curse the weight. See it as the gym for your spirit. Each moment you refuse to put it down, you are sculpting strength that will carry you further than comfort ever could. Struggle is not punishment. It is the path. It is the process that transforms you from who you are into who you are, capable of becoming. Strength is not built when life is easy. It is built in the weight of struggle you refuse to put down. And the good news is this: every struggle you carry today is proof that you're already in training for the life you dream of tomorrow. Keep carrying it, because one day you will realize that what felt like a burden was actually your greatest gift. Small, consistent pushes create unstoppable momentum over time. At first, those pushes might feel insignificant. You wake up a little earlier, you put in one more hour of practice, you send one more email, you make one more attempt. On their own, each of these actions looks too small to matter, but consistency has a quiet magic. When repeated day after day, small pushes compound into something powerful: momentum. Momentum is what takes an object that once felt heavy and makes it glide. Think about pushing a car that has stalled. At the start, the effort feels impossible. You lean your body weight into it, your feet dig into the ground, and the car does not budge. But then, inch by inch, it begins to roll. Slowly at first, but as you keep pushing, the effort becomes easier. Eventually, what once required every ounce of your strength begins to move with its own force. That is the power of momentum, and it works the same way in your life. When you begin something new, the hardest part is starting. You may feel like nothing is happening. The weight of your habits, your doubts, and your circumstances can feel like that stalled car, immovable. But if you keep pushing, even when the movement is almost invisible, you are building momentum. Once that momentum takes over, the very thing that felt impossible begins to carry you forward. The problem is that most people quit before momentum arrives. They stop because progress feels too slow. They underestimate the value of consistency and overestimate the need for instant results. They expect transformation after 1 week of effort, success after one attempt, recognition after one performance. When it does not come immediately, they stop pushing. But what they fail to see is that they were on the verge of unlocking momentum, the moment where effort starts multiplying instead of just adding. Consistency is not glamorous. Is repetitive. It requires showing up when no one is clapping, when no one is paying attention, when no one notices but you. It is the daily grind that others avoid because it feels too small to matter. But over time, those small pushes separate you from everyone else. When you do what others will not do consistently, you create results that others cannot create. Consider the difference between someone who practices guitar for 5 hours in one day and someone who practices for 30 minutes every day for a month. The first may feel impressive in the moment, but the second will have built real progress. Why? Because consistency rewires your brain, strengthens your skills, and creates habits that stick. It is not about how big your push is once. It is about how committed you are to pushing every single day. Momentum also has a way of carrying over into other parts of your life. When you build discipline in one area, you start to see discipline appear in others. The person who commits to exercising daily often finds it easier to eat better, to work harder, to think clearer. Success is rarely isolated. It ripples. And that ripple begins with small, consistent pushes. And here's the secret most people overlook. Momentum does not require perfection. You do not have to push perfectly every day. You just have to keep showing up. Even on the days when your effort feels clumsy, when your progress feels slow, when your energy feels low, keep pushing. Because momentum does not care about perfection. It cares about persistence. Once you experience momentum, you will understand why consistency matters more than intensity. A small action repeated 100 times outweighs a massive action taken once. And the person who keeps pushing consistently will always surpass the person who pushes hard occasionally, but then stops. So do not underestimate the power of your small pushes. They are not wasted. Fortschritt. They are building the momentum that will one day make your dreams feel unstoppable. Every day you show up, you are stacking bricks. One by one, they may look like nothing, but step back after months or years, and you will see you have built a fortress. Small, consistent pushes are not just important. They are everything. They create the habits that shape your identity, the momentum that fuels your journey, and the unstoppable force that makes your goals inevitable. Keep pushing, no matter how small it feels. True persistence is forged in the moments when you least want to continue, but you do it anyway. So if you are on the edge of quitting, remember this. Persistence is your greatest advantage. Talent can fade, luck can run out, circumstances can change, but persistence endures. Maybe surviving heartbreak gave you the courage to take risks in your career. Maybe overcoming financial struggles gave you patience in relationships. Maybe facing loneliness gave you the wisdom to value connection. Nothing you went through was wasted. Discomfort is not the enemy. It is the evidence that you are growing. Here is the danger of avoiding growth. Life does not stand still. The world moves forward whether you do or not. Opportunities pass by. Relationships evolve. Time continues. Your future self is also the one who reaps the benefits of habits you form now. Every workout you complete, every book you read, every skill you practice, it may not feel like much today, but months or years from now, your future self will thank you.